I want you to take some time as well to sit with us through a presentation from one of our first-time sponsors, or first time in a long time, MC Systems, and we will be guided through a lunch and learn session with Dimitri Dawkins from Phoenix International, Commercial Director at MC Systems. MC Systems is a platinum sponsor of this year's conference, and Dimitri is described as a networking savant that is innovative, non-traditional, and adventurous with training and certification in a broad spectrum of technical areas. Dimitri, thank you so much for joining us. The next half hour of our day will be spent with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, I'm really glad to be back. I believe the last time I participated at CAP conference was back in St. Kitts. But you know, this is my fourth time participating at a CAP event, and they're always fun. Happy to be presenting today, and just want to switch things up for people a little bit. I know it's been a long morning, and we're all getting ready for lunch, and you know, just want us to break a little bit from the drudgery of tech or regulations or what it is we can do next, and speak a little more about philosophy and what it is we can do to improve banking in the region this afternoon. So yeah, let me just jump right into it. Liesl, can we get the slides up as well, please? Right, so as Wendy just said, my name is Dimitri Dawkins. I'm the Commercial Director for Phoenix International at MC Systems. Phoenix International is a core banking platform that we acquired last year from Finastro. I'll touch on it a little bit, but really and truly, I want us to talk about banking directly. How is it that we can improve our experience, inclusion, adoption, and efficiency going forward? I want us to just go on a quick journey through time and to just understand where we're coming from and why we have been facing some of the issues here in the Caribbean, and how is that we can overcome these issues going forward, right? Typically, you know, we came to the CAP conference because we're at a great hotel. You know, there's going to be really good food. We get to see all of our peers and associates from other financial institutions across the region and get to network, right? But I know that really and truly for the CAP conference director, we're here because we needed an association for indigenous banks. Before, we just did not have anything like this. And we know that there are specific challenges that we face as local indigenous banks serving our customers, creating a specific experience that our counterparts that are overseas owned were not offering, and as well to be able to provide a specific experience for our customers, for our direct society, for our socioeconomic development. We also are here because we know that collaboration propels success. Sharing our information and data between each other, sharing the best practices and approaches, etc., is what's going to help us succeed, innovate, and grow over time. And then finally, you know, because education builds ecosystem capacity, we have a very small ecosystem overall, and many of us have hired professionals from each other's institutions. The teams shift over the years. It's very dynamic within the industry. But at the core of it, especially as a regional association, we have to make sure that we are educating our team members so that we, on a whole, we're improving. So why is it that we got started as creating our own financial institutions locally? I mean, we can go way back and think of who are the first banks in the region. You know, they came from the UK, they came from the US, they came from other markets. They had significant advantages because they had already been operating for hundreds of years in those markets. And oftentimes, even some of those regulatory effects were still suffering from the spillover from it, or were bound by the spillover from that in the Caribbean market as well. To be frank, settler colonialism has created financial exclusion in the Caribbean. Why it is that customers aren't as comfortable coming into the bank, creating new accounts, taking out loans, leveraging other products, etc., is just historically because of racism, classism, long-term social mistrust and disbelief caused by these issues, the operational risk from banking some of these customers overall, the economic risk, that we have as a region, as we've been developing over the years, having high levels of debt for some countries, being very dependent on certain industries, other aspects. And there's way more. I mean, all of us have been running risk profiles on our operations for decades now, and we know exactly what's causing the challenges, right? And from an experience standpoint, things have really changed over the years. If you think back to like the 60s to 90s, a bank manager used to own the experience. Somebody used to walk into the branch, they used to want a loan for their mortgage, for their small business, et cetera, and they'd have a conversation and basically pitch and convince that bank manager to approve. This is before you had centralized adjudication or any of those other things. As we began to formalize our process and have, loan officers, bank reps, sales reps, they began to own the experience. They had their phones, their Rolodexes initially, but now, of course, their WhatsApp list of people that they used to just call to, manage their customers, make sure that they bring in their deposits, offer them new products, provide financial advice, things like that between the early 2000s and into 2010. And then between like 2011 and now, we have the big shift to digital. We had a huge, telebanking has come and gone, I believe. You have the, real acceptance or adoption of the use of ATMs. ATMs have always been in the market, but really and truly, they became a primary channel for transactions. We had the onset of online banking, where people can now go online and not just check their balance, not just transfer between their accounts, but now they have a ton of other integrations and other channels such as remittances, peer-to-peer, online SWIFT, RTGS, ACH payments, all of these things. And then as well, third-party apps, third-party or first-party apps that you might be offering to the customer to improve that experience. And, we're not entirely sure what it's going to look like going forward, but we know what it is that we can offer now and how it is that we'd like to meet our customers where they are, especially because of the pandemic, especially because the banking hall is no longer the primary source of interaction or engagement for our customers. We're changing our experiences even further and making sure that it's applicable to our customer base. So as part of this experience, we have to improve inclusion. And I mean, I don't need to tell you guys about the KYC and other compliance hurdles that we have to face in order to get someone included into the formal banking system. In many countries as well, cash is still the most convenient method of payment. We've all had challenges where your point of sale systems are not working properly. ATMs may run out of cash on paydays or holiday weekends or things like that. And then on top of that, there's a general belief within customer base that they can't access the benefits of inclusion. We're talking about products. We're talking about credit cards, loans, mortgages, investment products, other things like that. They see these tabs in their app, in mobile banking. They see the email offers coming in and they assume that it's not really for them. It has to be, that is for the big executive or somebody else, because I'm never going to be offered this product, or even if I apply, I'm not going to access it, because historically we have been very risk averse. But on top of that, we just have not had the data to properly meet the needs of our customers. Thankfully, a lot of this is changing now, and we've been able to offer more innovative products and solutions and provide more accessibility. But it's important for us to educate our customer and have them know that, yes, this is now available and this is a benefit of financial inclusion. And this is why you should sign up and join and get your account and get paid to your bank account, or receive your remittances directly to a bank account, or pay your bills online, or other things like that. But in total, the main point of customer experience is just creating meaningful change for customers every single day, providing products which improve daily convenience for our customers. Personally, I know I'm a highly banked individual, but I absolutely abhor the thought of using cash because it's just inconvenient. I can't track it. I don't know how I spent it. If you have cash in your pocket, if you have a savings goal or spending targets, whenever I treat it as once you pull it from the ATM, that's the end of that. You can't really track it after the fact other than getting a bunch of receipts and adding it up. Whereas if you use a credit or a debit card, you know exactly how much was spent at different institutions. And that applies to other products as well that you offer to your customers, right? But how does this help the customer on a daily basis to just make it most convenient to use their bank accounts? How are we creating opportunities for wealth building, making sure that we're not just offering loans, etc., but it can build generational wealth through home ownership, through investments, through other products, and making sure that that's very accessible and not just at the tier of you need to be earning a certain amount of income or you need to save or invest a certain amount per month, but just where meeting a customer where they are. Protecting customers from bad actors. I mean, we've in the Caribbean suffered from multiple Ponzi schemes. We've suffered from many different scams over the years. We are currently being targeted by cybersecurity threats. We have phishing attacks, other things like that. And not only are we taking on and covering a lot of the expense of this risk to shield our customers, but as well, it still creates a very bad experience for the customer directly. And it's the onus is on us to both educate them as well as put in the systems to protect them from those bad actors. And then finally, coming back to the education aspect for customers, many people just don't know. Their mom, dad, uncle, brother, sister, somebody told them that this is how the banking system works. And they have a notion based on that, but they don't actually know. Many people just have never actually applied for a mortgage, have never tried to get a credit card, have never tried to access different solutions. And I think part of this gap is why from within the financial industry, microfinance institutions have done so well, because those guys have been very on the street, directly going to customers, telling someone, hey, we promise you can get 100% of your monthly salary right now within 48 hours if you come in and apply. But oftentimes the rates, the terms, things like that are very predatory and borderline unethical in approach. And so we want to make sure that, yes, we have diversity of products and services, but that the customer is fully aware of the impact on them and what does this mean for their financial well-being. Because all of these products are necessary and in the time and place for the customer demographic going forward. I say all of this because banking is no longer an option. Just like how you have, telecommunications, just like how you have I actually take out internet separate from telecommunications. You have your electricity providers, you have water, you have other utilities. Banking is a core utility. If you have in any of our markets, if the major banking service provider goes down, it's going to have a direct economic impact. It will bring the economy to a crawl. If you have a network for debit cards, credit cards, etc., and it stops working, it's bringing the economy to a crawl or stopping it altogether. We have to change our approach of thinking about this to the fact that we are utilities. We are as important, if not more important, than some of the other common utilities. And so how we develop ourselves and how we provide that experience to customers is also needed to change. Because we're a utility, we also have to increase capacity on a gradual basis. And really and truly, it's not as gradual anymore. We have a very fast growing population within the Caribbean. If you think of it, some might say, oh, Dimitri, in certain countries, the population is flat or it's actually negative. The only reason why we have a flat population overall is because of immigration. And really and truly, those members, the diaspora members, are actually still our customers because they're still saving back home. They're sending remittances back home. They're accessing other products. So overall, between our diaspora and those who are still with us locally, the population is actually growing at a very fast rate. We have much improved education now. Literacy rates are higher than ever, and not just basic literacy, but we're also talking about the college educated partially. We're talking about certification programs and other higher education programs. And that means that customers are more aware. They now understand what it's like to not just listen to a close family member and share those experiences, but they're more curious and look to find out about things themselves, or they read more and want to access better opportunities. And then on top of that, we have changing demographics. I mean, we have the shift to Gen Z, on top of the other shifts within, socioeconomic classes, things like that, which we have to cater to. So as a utility, and a utility that is very much a tech-enabled business, right? To build capacity, we need to develop and retain the top talent. I didn't list identify top talent here because we already know the talent market is so tight right now, especially since the pandemic. It is very hard. And so I think our opportunity on that side is not just identifying and recruiting the talent, but actually developing internally and bringing people from, college graduates to exec level over a 10 to 15 year period. We need to create culturally appropriate products and solutions. There's lots of innovation going on in the industry worldwide. However, there are things that are going to be more relatable culturally to our local societies, and we need to factor that in as part of our product design. Identifying cost-effective solution partners. I'll speak a little more about that shortly. Developing regional ecosystems to enable open banking and collaboration. I know that CARICOM on a whole has been a big challenge. We've made some headway. We have not made enough headway. Cross-border payments is a huge issue. How it is that we can do cross-border commerce within the Caribbean and internationally is also a big issue. And I think that us reviewing and implementing open banking standards is a way for us to leapfrog some of these challenges. We don't have to wait on a regulator to tell us you must incorporate open banking standards. We can look at it from just a collaboration perspective and how it is that we can reduce costs, improve data sharing between each other, and ways to improve our customer experience and collaborate on that. And then innovating as global service providers. We may be based in Barbados, in St. Kitts, in Jamaica, in Belize, all over, but that doesn't mean that our customer base is in our own country or across the region. We are global. We are facilitating global commerce, and we need to portray that to our customers that we are your global partner. You don't necessarily have to go to big name international bank in order to get global services. We have integrations into the same payment rails, into the same networks to allow this global commerce, and being able to scale that over time past our local ecosystem, past our regional ecosystem, and being able to, in an ideal world, I would like us to be provide banking as a service to global customers, as long as, within the guidelines of KYC and other compliance regulations that we have in place. From a talent perspective, the pandemic has helped us with this. Now that we have work from anywhere, people have gotten used to, asynchronous communication, doing regular stand-up meetings, interacting via Teams, via Slack, via Zoom, via, whichever your favorite platform is. The fact that we have a brand new generation of students that are graduating who are digital first. We have thousands of new graduates per year from regional universities. We can all agree that banking is no longer about hiring those banking and finance majors or hiring the tech guys, but actually pulling from a broad range of background and studies to support our activities overall. In the Caribbean, we still have a relatively low cost of living, which affords us to provide a high quality of life for less money. All of us have faced that choice about migration. I have several friends who right now are thinking of coming back to Jamaica because they've gotten tired of the rat race overseas. They realize that, they're earning 3 times the amount of money in New York, but their quality of life is negligible, and the amount that they're saving every year is actually not that much because of high taxes, high living expenses, and other factors. And when you think of how many talented individuals we have at top firms, top banks all across the world, who belong to the Caribbean diaspora or are diaspora adjacent, meaning they're the families they're married into, husbands, wives, kids, etc., etc. If they now have a choice of working from anywhere, why not a nearby tropical island? Like we genuinely have the opportunity to leapfrog on the capacity and talent scale because of the pandemic, and just make use of that. So I'm bringing this all together because I want us to focus on how we can invest regionally but scale globally. It's not enough anymore to just think about how we're serving our customers from a branch to branch perspective, or on a country to country perspective, but how our services are going to be globally accepted and globally integrated as part of that blue ocean strategy, as part of a globally integrated financial ecosystem, and making sure that we're not left behind. Like, we don't want any form of a digital divide. We don't want to be viewed as being a technology desert any at all. And part of the approach I think we have to take with this is just how much are we going to start investing locally or regionally versus just following the trend before of sending a lot of our OPEX and CAPEX outside of the Caribbean. If you just think back right now and think of your IT budget, and just the IT budget, I know that operating expenses go far beyond that, but just even your IT budget, think of how much of that is paid to local or regional vendors versus going into the I'm going to call it the ethos, where you don't even know who's really accepting the payments for these cloud services and other things like that, and it just withers away, right? Are you getting the quality of product or service as expected? Everybody loves the initial sales pitch, but 1 year in, 2 years in, is it really improving your customer experience? Were you able to leverage that as well? Does that service provider understand your real needs from a cultural and operational perspective? Is that spend helping you to drive new revenues? And I mean, on the flip side as well, is it reducing your risk to reduce your expenses or other things like that? So, and then finally, just, I know this is a touchy topic, but are you justifying the spend because of the genuine value provided, or are you justifying it because of the amount already invested in the journey? Oftentimes, we keep on throwing good money after bad on a bad solution, and possibly sometimes, well, not possibly, definitely, I've seen where, we invest in projects way too long when we should have cut it a year in, 2 years in, and now we're 5 years down the road, hundreds of thousands of US dollars in the hole, and we just keep on thinking, hey, if we spend another 50, then we're going to finally get value from this product. But let's call a spade a spade. If we were to start investing that money into regional IP, then what sort of impact would that have from a capacity perspective, from a regional perspective, from a collaboration and integration perspective as the Caribbean Association of Banks? What is that thrust that we could pool together, share our resources with, share the expenses, and push forward on that? It's no secret that MC Systems is a member of the JN Group overall. And that's part of the reason why we had acquired Phoenix International, which is our core banking platform. We've invested $5 million US and still counting on core banking, because we believe that certain solutions are not catered to emerging markets. The Caribbean, like other emerging markets, is growing very quickly and needs appropriate solutions. But oftentimes when we go and we speak to big brands from overseas, the Caribbean market is literally just a blip on one salesperson's targets. The products are not created with emerging markets in mind. It's not created with the Caribbean in mind. They don't understand our local operations. They don't understand the cultural and regulatory challenges. And oftentimes that leads to much higher operating costs, because we then have to pay for all of these customizations. When we acquired Phoenix, we then acquired 9 customers with the platform from Africa all the way over to Venezuela and multiple countries in between. And one of the benefits of the working in emerging markets is that we're then able to split the expenses across the customer base, which allows everyone to operate at a lower total cost of ownership. Moving forward, we're also trying to break the dependence on imported IP. Once again, coming back to that spend, we have great talent here in the Caribbean, great developers. I have friends of mine who have been hired by Facebook, by Google, by Twitter, by top tech firms. Why is it that they're leaving to go and work for these overseas firms versus working in local enterprise? Why is it that we can't provide those same opportunities considering the amount of money that we're spending for IT solutions? We're focused on breaking that dependence on the imported IP from these overseas markets and understanding more of our local challenges, how it is that we can meet those challenges using regional talent and better meet customer needs. And then as far as enabling financial inclusion and adoption for emerging markets, we want to become the catalyst for that overall, leveraging our global team. I have team members, my specific team. I'm really proud to tell you guys about this. We started off from, at the beginning of the acquisition, it was 4 of us, then we scaled to 10, and today we're at 18 specifically for Phoenix. We have a fully distributed team all across the world, from Chile over to India. And we're all focused on improving the lives of many. Like, the mission is the core first. It's the inclusion, it's the adoption. And this is just our approach personally. I'm not here to sell you on that approach. I just want you to think of how it is that we can change our spend or change our approach to promote inclusion locally and help us to scale globally. And that's because, once again, coming back to it, we're all world class. It's time to show that to our customers. I don't want our customers to have that experience of, I can't get access to that product because my bank doesn't offer it. I can't have a virtual credit card because, those things don't happen in the Caribbean. I can't cash out of my crypto wallet because Caribbean banks don't support that. I can't do split the tab with my friends at the end of a meal because our bank doesn't support it. I can't just instantly send you money from my bank to your bank because it takes 24 hours or 48 hours to get done. I can't just do cross-border payments because it has to go via our correspondent bank in the US or the UK before it comes back to us within the Caribbean. These are not challenges that are insurmountable. These are challenges that we can address through tweaking our existing technology platforms, in some cases replacing some, integrating others, but most importantly, as a people, focusing on our customer, coming back to that experience of, I want to be able to allow you to be a member of our institution and your kids and your children's children for decades to come. And how we create that experience is focusing on the value we provide on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to try to save some time and allow you guys to enjoy your lunch or even get a short break. But overall, I want us to be able to collaborate. MC Systems with your institution directly, but institution to institution as well, so that we all, as an association, can innovate our customer experiences, so that we can make banking more convenient, so we can improve our operational efficiencies, which will lead to more profitability, etc., but as well should reduce the friction that happens in our day-to-day operations that leads to a lot of our operational risk. Reduce risk as a region overall as we, bolster ourselves to meet our regulatory guidelines, as well as just operationally being able to add more redundancy to day-to-day operations. And finally, it's improving the quality of life of our customers and their customers overall, right? This is what I want you to have as a takeaway from the session this morning. And one last thing I should have mentioned it at the start, and I think we had included this in our promo before, but we have a giveaway where we're going to be evaluating the digital channels of different financial institutions. Cab was kind enough to give us the full list of everybody who was registered for the session this morning. So we put stall in and randomly selected 3 institutions. So we'll contact you guys afterwards. Congratulations, Bank of the Bahamas, First Citizens Bank, and Belize Bank Corporation Limited. We're going to be offering you a free analysis of your digital channels to see how it is that you could improve them and improve your customer experience overall based on that. But yeah, guys, that is basically it. I know it's a lot to digest and a lot to chew on, and I would love to continue the conversation. For those of you who, you can use this QR code if you have a iPhone, Samsung, Android, whatever else. You can just take your camera and it will send you directly to my LinkedIn page, and we can have a further conversation. Or you can use, my cell is right here, 298-5210, as well as my email address. But let's have this conversation about collaboration, about experience, how it is that we can push things forward and actually leapfrog the other developed markets with the experience that we have for our customers locally. So thank you very much.
Wonderful, Dimitri. Thank you so much for that. I sat and listened with bated breath. Really impressed how your presentation this afternoon kind of tied in all of the things that we spoke about this morning in terms of making sure that the customer remains our focal point. Their success obviously is our success. The innovation in being able to respond to their needs, I think that is where your solution obviously comes in. And of course, a little later on today, we will hear from our regulators in terms of how they will support us on this journey to ensure that we are moving beyond the pandemic with haste. Dimitri, thank you so much. To those of you in the audience, thank you so much for staying with us throughout this presentation. Dimitri's team is not represented by a booth. However, hopefully you would have scanned the QR code. They have also been provided your contact information, so you can certainly look out for them as they will reach out to you in the coming days to position themselves and determine if there's a natural fit. But from what I heard, I'm sure that they'll be knocking on your doors, Dimitri. Thank you again so much, and hopefully you can spend a little time with us this afternoon.
Definitely.
All right.
Coco